On Monday, an editorial piece was published on News 24 that I think requires a response, because what that piece said was that this group of parties coming together next week for a national convention, the DA, the IFP, the Freedom Front Plus, Action SA, the UIM and the SNP, will not be able to achieve a majority, and the best option for South Africa is parties joining a grand coalition with the ANC. I fundamentally disagree, and I want to tell you why. Firstly, those political parties that I've mentioned achieved nearly 30% of the vote in 2019. But bear in mind a few things. Firstly, in 2019, Action SA didn't exist. Action SA has subsequently contested its first election, where despite contesting in only 6 municipalities out of 278, we came 6th in the country. Now imagine what happens when we contest all 9 provinces, which is what will happen next year. Consider in the last 4 years how rapidly the IFP has grown, and grown at the expense of the ANC and KZN. And consider that there are a number of political parties that are ideologically aligned to the work that we are doing that are yet to join our ranks, that I'm confident will in due course. But above everything else, understand one thing. There are 27 million people in South Africa who have stopped voting. And to put that number in perspective, only 12 million people voted in the last election. Those 27 million people are either registered and did not vote, or unregistered and therefore could not vote. These people have grown disillusioned with the state of our country and their treatment from the ruling government, but they have never seen anything on the other side of the aisle that has given them a reason to get out on election day and do what they need to do for change. This is what we are changing, because those South Africans in the run-up to this election are going to see a group of parties that come together despite their differences and work for their interests, and who cooperate to demonstrate the shared solutions they can present to South Africa's greatest challenges. And even if the smallest fraction of those people are animated by that work, the prediction that this group of parties will not get a majority is entirely without merit. But let's go and look at this idea of a grand coalition and why we say that's a bad idea. Grand coalitions are formed because they are rumored to bring about greater stability, because collectively the parties have such an overwhelming majority that ultimately they won't fall apart. But be careful what kind of stability we are talking about having, because if stability is going to protect wrongdoing, and if stability is going to cover up corruption, and if stability is going to protect people from accountability, that's not the right kind of stability that's going to be needed to take South Africa forward. So consider this for one moment. An official opposition that goes into a coalition with the ANC, a party that we know over many years has demonstrated intentions of being criminally inclined. Who is going to watch what those two parties are up to? Who is going to hold them to account? And are we not going to enter a society where anything goes in government because the watchdogs have gone into bed with those in government? It's a truly terrifying thought. Because remember, when you are in coalition, you can't oppose a party that you're in coalition with. You're going to have to find yourself defending the actions of the ANC if you're in a coalition. Consider the next Phala Phala report, which you know is never far away in the ANC. Any party that goes into coalition with the ANC is going to find themselves, for the sake of stability, defending the indefensible, because if not, they walk out of a coalition and the government collapses. This is the danger of a grand coalition in a South African context. The idea that a smaller party can exact reforms from the ANC in a coalition is also science fiction. And let's be clear about that. The ANC has been in government for so long, it has deployed its officials into government for so long, that the ANC in government has become interwoven and are inseparable from one another. The idea that a smaller party in coalition with the ANC can exact reforms like a professional public service from the ANC is laughable, especially when you consider that Cyril Ramaphosa hasn't been successful in reforming the organization that he leads. What chance does a coalition partner really have of exacting reforms? At the end of the day, there is only one game in town, and that is this multi-party group that is coming together for a national convention next week. These are the group of parties that are coming together around a change agenda. These are the group of parties that are demonstrating that they will work together in the best interests of South Africans, despite their differences. And with so many South Africans recognizing the need for change, these are the political parties that are aligning around an alternative vision for South Africa and an alternative future. On this, we must be clear. This is the group of parties that will deliver change in South Africa. Change will never come from a grand coalition in partnership with the very political party from which we need change.